actually working as a seniors fitness program worker at Access Alliance Multicultural Health and Community Services. So, Ray, just give them a brief intro what exactly you're doing with seniors at Access Alliance, and then you can start the presentation.
Great, thank you so much, Sadia. So as Sadia said, my name is Ray Dooley. I am the Seniors Fitness Program Worker at Access Alliance. I provide all of our fitness and wellness programming for seniors at our Access Point on Jane, that's located on Jane Street and Woolner Avenue in Toronto, and the Access Point on Danforth, which is on Danforth and Victoria Park in Toronto. So I teach all of our fitness programming at both access points, including our United Way yoga programs, including seated yoga, mat yoga. We offer a meditation and stretching class and gentle fitness classes. I gave a similar presentation last year. I recognize, I think Veronica, Shugana, you were all in the presentation last year. Welcome back. So some of it will be a review for you, but I am interested to hear throughout the presentation. I may ask you to participate or give some feedback on if you've applied anything from last year. I would love to hear about it and see how that went. And hopefully this will be a great refresher for all of us to learn about balance. We're going to be talking about balance, the balance system, and we're going to be talking about falls prevention. So like I said, my name is Ray. I'm the Seniors Fitness Program Worker, and I have a degree in physical rehabilitation therapy and psychology. In part one of the presentation, we will be talking about balance. We will have a little break, as Sadia said, and then we will be talking about falls prevention. So we're going to be talking about the balance system. Oh, I should say before we get started, so in the beginning of the presentation, I am going to be doing some talking. We're going to be going over some slides, but there will be participation within the presentation. So if you need a moment now, I'll give you a minute to make sure you have enough space to do that. So if you're at home, all you're going to need is a chair. As I say in all of my classes, a sturdy chair, not a chair that rocks, not a chair that rolls, not a chair that slides. And you might need a little bit of space, about 3 meters, step to the right, step to the left, step forward, and step back to be able to practice some of our balance activities that we're going to be doing today. But we're going to start off the presentation looking at some slides. If you need to take a break at any point. And I will open up for questions at different parts during the presentation. So we're going to be talking about the balance system. We're going to be doing some activities looking at balance in action and how balance functions. We're going to talk about how we train our balance, how we can adopt different asanas that test our balance for different populations. And we're going to go over a sample balance program that we use at Access Alliance in our gentle fitness classes. I will also be providing some resources on best practices for balance training and resources on how to evaluate balance. And then we'll have that break that I discussed. So balance. Balance is defined as the ability to maintain the line of gravity of a body within its base of support with minimal postural sway. So some visuals here to help you sort of conceptualize balance. If we look at the line of gravity, if I held a string at the top of my head and I put a little weight on the string, that string may sway and then it will slowly come into place, being pulled by gravity down to the center of the earth. That would be my line of gravity. And then my base of support is here indicated in yellow as sort of the amount of support that I have on the ground or sitting in a chair. So as long as my line of gravity is within my base of support, I'm in balance. It's when, if you look at the last picture, our line of gravity moves outside of our base of support that we lose our balance. And you'll see in this definition here, we also say with minimal postural sway, because somebody, maybe they have a neurological condition, maybe they're under the influence, something like that. They're going to be swaying a lot. They're going to be having difficulty maintaining their balance. Whereas Postural sway is something that happens naturally um, as we move and go about our day. So the balance system has 4 elements to it. And balance isn't one thing. It's a combination of lots of different things all interacting to create balance. So one aspect of balance is proprioception. Proprioception is a fancy sounding word, but that just means the sense of my body in space, my ability to feel my foot on the floor, for example. Um, oops, am I seeing that? Okay. Vision. Vision is another element of the balance system. I use my eyes to orient myself. I can see where the ceiling is, where the floor is. It helps me level my brain and helps me know where I am in space. Our vestibular system, sometimes it's called the inner ear. This is a system that is almost like a level. So anybody who's had to hang a picture maybe has used a level before. It's like our brain's level. So it's sort of my sense, how I know where my head is in space and that my head is upright. You may hear people with vestibular disorders like vertigo. Those people have a disorder of the vestibular system where they may become dizzy very easily, and that inner ear becomes very easily disrupted. So that inner sense, that brain level, helps to contribute to balance. And then the last part of balance is strength. So if my legs are strong enough to hold me up, it's going to be much easier for me to balance. All 4 of these systems work together to create the sense of balance, to maintain that line of gravity within your base of support. And a disruption to any one of these strategies will lead to issues with balance. But the great thing about balance is we have these sort of 4 elements all working together. So the other 3 can adapt if one is potentially injured or diminished. So for example, with our vestibular system, if we have issues with our vestibular system, then we may use our eyes, our vision to help level our brain. If I have issues with proprioception, maybe I have a diabetic neuropathy, so I have reduced sensation in the bottoms of my feet. I'm going to use my strength and I'm going to use my vestibular system and my vision system to help me compensate for the fact that I maybe can't feel the bottom of my feet as well. And all of these different systems are affected by aging. So if we're working with an older population, as people age, they experience sarcopenia, they experience reduced muscle mass, so reduced strength. They experience presbyopia, nearsightedness, farsightedness. So there's a reduction in vision. There's a normal degradation of the vestibular system. And a lot of older people will experience some neuropathy in the hands and the feet and their extremities. So this all contributes to balance being more challenging for older adults. This is just a nice visual I like to show that balance is a constant process. If you're looking at somebody and you're watching them stand still and it looks like they're standing still and in balance, this actually isn't the case. You'll see this is actually like a computer generated image where they had somebody stand on a sensor pad and they told them to just stand still. And that squiggle you'll see is like if I put a marker on the bottom of my line of gravity and it's drawing all the little tiny movements that you do to hold yourself in balance, even when you're just standing still. And this shows that, for example, the top person, the control group, that's their base of support and their line of gravity with their eyes open. And when they close their eyes, taking out one aspect of the balance system, that squiggle, that line sort of moves around a lot more. And that's because the other parts of the system are compensating. On the bottom, you have a test subject, and that's somebody with multiple sclerosis. So you'll see that with their eyes open, they might have bigger postural movements with their eyes open. But once you close their eyes, you're seeing that, wow, they were relying on their eyes so much to balance. So without their eyes, they're going to be swaying quite a bit. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what taking one element of the balance system out of the equation does to balance, and how balance is active. It's constant. It's a process that's always moving. So to maintain our balance, we can manipulate our center of gravity. We can adjust our limbs. We can shift our weight. We can expand our base of support. All of these different things we can adjust to achieve balance. So this sort of just gives you an idea for these different asanas you're looking at. Where's the base of support? Where's the line of gravity? It's not always in the middle of the pelvis, right? It moves as we move and as we shift our weight. So we're going to do a little activity now. We're going to do some balance in action. So I am going to be switching the slides on and off, just so you can get a better view of me. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm a pretty tiny on your screen right now. But there's lots of different balance strategies and ways that balance behaves as we move throughout the world. I am going to be going over a few that are just really relevant to us as yoga practitioners. And the first one is going to be static balance, or sometimes it's called postural control. So static balance is the act of balancing in a fixed state. So that's like that computer generated image I showed you. That's standing still. We can observe static balance in sitting or in standing. Some people get confused. They say, well, you're not balancing if you're sitting. You are balancing if you're sitting. Most of us, we're dealing with community dwelling seniors, but if you've ever worked with folks who are maybe living in long-term care, who aren't able to ambulate independently, anybody who has any sort of neurological condition that affects their ability to hold themselves up, you ask them to sit up in a chair without touching the ends of the chair or the back of the chair, and you ask them to sit forward in the chair, they're going to experience also some challenges to their balance. So we are absolutely also balancing and sitting. And static balance can be challenged. It's more challenging when we have a smaller base of support, and it's usually easier if we have a larger base of support. So for standing balance, why is it important? Standing balance is important for most of our activities of daily living. It's important for standing in the shower. It's important for cooking, right? Doing the dishes, folding laundry, anything that we do while we're standing still, static balance is really important. So I will ask you to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're going to stand up, and you can come next to your chair if you need it. Make sure you have enough space. And I want you to think about, while we hold these different poses, think about your balance, think about those four systems we talked about and how they're interacting while you hold a static position. So usually in my classes, our first level is both feet close together. Both feet close together is a smaller base of support than feet shoulder width apart. So feet shoulder width apart, both feet close together, and you feel a little bit of a difference depending on how much challenge you have with your balance. So this is a tiny base of support. I can get a narrower base of support that's also very challenging by taking one step forward. You usually feel a little bit of what we call your ankle strategy coming in here. You always have your chair there if you need it. I can make my base of support even smaller by going heel to toe. Okay, a little bit more challenging. You'll notice that your weight is shifting. Probably your weight is more on the back leg than on the front leg. I can come on one toe, 1 foot flat, if I feel safe to do so. So my weight is mostly on my left leg, my stance leg. And then only if you feel safe to do so would I ask a client to lift their leg. Now all of my weight, all of my body is being supported by the tiny surface of my foot. You'll notice your ankle's moving. These are little adjustments your body is making. You'll find it's a bit easier if this knee is soft instead of locked. Your torso is probably moving, you're adjusting. Here, you can take a break. So that's what we see what happens, how our body adjusts in static balance. We're going to go over the different asanas later and how we can adjust for that. But most of our asanas, when we do them in our yoga practice, are going to be done in a static position, except for those movements when we're moving between asanas, right? So that's our static balance. That's how it works. If I move, so I'm on one foot and my line of gravity is coming straight down. When I move that line of gravity out, my weight starts to shift out. That's when I need to employ some sort of strategy to maintain my balance and keep myself from falling. So that's our static balance. Which asanas, can ask a question, do you think would be harder than others for static balance? Say if we're looking at our tree versus eagle versus mountain. They're all challenging depending on who we are. But some of them require us to stay straight up and straight with our head above our shoulders, above our lower back, above our feet and our hips. And some require us to shift our weight, right? And that's going to be more of a challenge. You saw me do a bit of an ankle strategy and almost fall just then, right? So that's how our static balance functions. I'm going to share my screen again so we can go over the next slide. Okay, so we also have something called reactive balance. So you just saw me use my reactive balance. So that's the ability to control our balance in response to disturbances. So we have different corrective strategies. I was talking before about an ankle strategy. If I shift my weight forward, then I push my hips back. That's a hip strategy. As I shift my weight forward, I push my hips back. And that maintains my line of gravity within my base of support. Ankle strategy, as I lean forward, my ankles, or lean sideways, my ankles will adjust to try to maintain my balance. We also have something that you'll see diminish in older adults, which is a stepping strategy. If I'm on one leg and I start to move to the side, I step out. And that's to give myself a bigger base of support. And we have a grasping strategy. As I start to fall, if I feel like I'm going to fall, I grab onto something. So it's just how are we reacting to these mechanical disturbances? Can anybody think of an example of a mechanical disturbance that might occur in a normal day in Toronto that may require you to use any of these strategies? Anybody have an idea?
Trying to cross the road on Queen Street with the streetcar tracks?
Sure. Okay. So uneven terrain might be one. Okay.
Maybe
You're
somebody
thinking,
is using a walker.
so if they're using a walker, so when I have a walker, that gives me such a big base of support because now my base is not only my feet, but it's also the four legs of the walker. So that's why walker is so great for helping with balance. But if somebody's using a walker and say the walker becomes unsteady on unsteady terrain, say you're using the walker to cross this Queen Street and there's the streetcar tracks, right? That's uneven terrain, okay? I may adjust to navigate the tracks. The best example I can give for reactive balance is You're on the bus, you couldn't get a seat, and the car stops suddenly. What do? Right? You step out, you grab onto something. I've had people grab onto me because I'm the closest thing to them, right? So you're reacting, and usually these things are these, we don't think about them. We do them naturally. You'll notice working with some older adults or people with different conditions, they don't have the same reaction time and they don't necessarily employ these protective or corrective strategies, right? Or they'll be reduced. So it's really good when we're doing a balanced exercise program for older adults to encourage them to use these strategies. If you've ever seen an older person or somebody with really diminished balance fall, sometimes you'll notice that when they fall, they just kind of go. They don't necessarily put out their hands to protect them. They don't necessarily step out to keep themselves from falling. They'll just go down. And something that you'll see very often when we talk about falls prevention, big red flag. If you have any senior coming into your programs and you notice they have bruising on their face, and they told you, I'm hoping you ask them, hey, what happened? What happened to your face? And often they'll tell you, oh, I fell. And it's because they're not doing maybe something a younger person does. Instinctively, the first thing we do when we fall is we put up a hand and that protects our head because that's our most valuable commodity, right? Is our head. So somebody who's falling and not protecting their face, it's usually a sign they're not doing all of these different protective and reactive strategies. So it's really good to practice this in class. You'll see in my balance program, we'll do things, we're encouraging them to use their arms. I don't want to encourage them to, when they come on one foot, keep their arms down because I want to encourage them to, when their balance is being challenged, react. When we do a forward reach, I encourage them, push your hips back. So when you're on the bus and the bus stops suddenly, you are training your brain to, oh, I have to put my hips back. And that's going to help me maintain my balance. So we can try this again, coming beside our chair, if you're not already. Coming beside our chair, let's try that forward reach, our hip strategy. Coming behind the chair. Both feet close together. Arms up. I can keep one hand free. As I reach forward, feeling my hips go back and come forward. Reaching forward and back. If you feel safe to do so, you can use both hands, reaching forward and back. Forward and back. You'll notice your ankles, your hips, everything, and it's all maintaining my line of gravity in the same spot. I can make it harder by putting 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, keeping one hand free. I can lift my back heel, reaching forward. If you feel safe to do so, lift your front heel and come back. And you'll notice I'm still putting my hips back in order to maintain my balance. This is a test that some doctors, physiotherapists, occupational therapists will do, is to see how are you reacting when I ask you to reach forward. You'll notice some people, they don't feel safe reaching forward, they'll reach down. So we have to encourage people to reach forward. And how far can you reach forward before you lose your balance? Same thing, we already tried our static balance. We felt our ankle strategy. But for our stepping strategy, it's the same thing. So for my stepping strategy, just standing up straight, what happens if I shift my weight to one side? Instinctively, one foot is going to want to come out and catch me. And that's because my line of gravity is coming outside of my base of support, and my brain is telling my foot, we need a bigger base of support. So that's all reactive balance. I'm going to share my screen again. The last one I want to talk about is sensory orientation. So our balance system relies on our vision as one of our senses, and our proprioception is another sense that we have. Some people call it the sixth sense, proprioception. And it relies on both of these senses to help us balance. So when we alter or remove one of these senses, the rest of the balance system is challenged and has to adjust. Okay. The easiest way we can do it in a standard class, in a gentle fitness class, is to ask people to close their eyes. Now, everybody's different. Some clients, once they close their eyes, you'll see they completely lose their balance. And that means they're really relying on their eyes. There's a problem either in their vestibular system, their proprioception, that is causing them to use their eyes to help them balance. You can also, usually in more of a clinical environment, alter the surface that somebody's on, and that will challenge the balance system in a different way. You can place them on a foam mat or a balance disc, often in a rehabilitation setting, maybe somebody who is like in a wheelchair or has challenges in balance and sitting. We can have them sit on a foam pad and they have to try and hold themselves up. All of these different tools we can use to modify the surface somebody's on, even having somebody stand on an incline, right? Playing with the proprioception system, playing with vision, and that requires us to train those other parts of the balance system. So if we close our eyes, so what did we do earlier? We did static balance. So if I come both feet close together, I'm by my chair, I know where my chair is in case I need it. I can either close my eyes, or if you don't feel safe to close your eyes, we can ask our clients to look straight up, and that takes our eyes out of the equation while still maintaining some of our peripheral vision. So close your eyes or looking up, you'll notice, okay, I might sway a little bit more. And that's from that clinical computer generated image we saw earlier. Even a control subject, somebody who maybe doesn't have any obvious balance challenges, is going to have more postural sway, more sway when they're standing still with their eyes closed than they would with their eyes open. So in class, ensuring the safety of our clients, of course, we can add that one little element of looking up or closing your eyes, and that'll challenge their balance system even more. Any questions about the balance system before we move on to talking about going over a standard balance program that we teach at Access Alliance?
Ray, everything pretty clear. Thank you.
No problem. So often what we do and what everybody involved in this training is probably an expert in is how can we adapt? How can we adapt what we're doing to suit each individual person's needs in our classes? So we can make adaptations to different poses by just playing with those different elements of the balance system. Expanding or shrinking the base of support is a big one. So for Tadasana, my feet, the farther apart they are, the bigger base of support, the more stable I will feel, the
Hey,
closer
Ray,
they
do you
are.
want to turn off your
Oh yeah, I'll turn off the,
PowerPoint?
sorry about that. So for Tadasana, the wider my feet are, the more stable I will feel because my base of support is larger. The closer together my feet are, the more challenging it will be because my base of support is smaller. If I wanted to make it even more challenging, again, shrinking my base of support further, I can lift my heels. And usually I have folks lift their heels on a gradient, okay? You lift your heel 1 inch, you still have more contact between your foot and the ground. And then as I go higher, less contact between the foot and the ground. Then we consider our arms. So we talked about earlier, our arms are a really important part of our balance system. So most clients You have them stand, both feet close together with their arms out. It's less of a challenge. But when we start to bring our arms up overhead, that's when they're going to sense more postural sway, more challenge to maintain their balance, more of these corrective strategies that we use. So always adjusting the base of support. That's for if we're practicing in standing. If we're practicing in sitting, consider now my base of support includes the whole chair or my hips on the chair. Each point of each part of my body that's in contact with the chair is part of my base of support. So that really expands the base of support. If you have a client who's still, when they're not touching the sides of the chair, they're not touching the back of the chair, they're forward in the chair, hips rolled forward, shoulders back and down, then you can still adjust their base of support by bringing their feet closer together, bring them on their toes. And usually for Tadasana, I encourage them to also do a little lean forward. And they're shifting their weight into their toes and they're still challenging their balance. Obviously, considering the health of our client's shoulder, all of these other considerations, I don't want somebody to be in pain or uncomfortable, forcing themselves into an uncomfortable Tadasana, respecting the range of motion in their shoulder. So we can just play with the base of support. It's a pretty easy one, is our Tadasana. Sorry, sharing again. Gotta move back and forth. For our Vrksasana tree, similar to what I was doing earlier, always, if we're doing mat yoga at our sites, the clients always have a chair perpendicular to their mat. We're going to talk more in falls prevention about why, but just in case they have the chair there. And I find that that really encourages clients who maybe aren't as confident with their balance to take on more of a challenge. Because if they didn't have the chair there, they're just going to avoid the challenge entirely. And I really want to encourage them to feel safe, be safe, but also challenge themselves. So thinking about base of support, sometimes I have clients, they're just doing their Vrksasana with their feet close together. That's it. That's their limit. Then we can do one step forward. We can do heel to toe. I've also adjusted it where we could be on one toe and turn the knee out so the toe is on the ground. And then some clients might feel safe to bring heel to shin, or if they're flexible enough, heel to thigh above the knee. So we're making different adjustments, and the whole time it's all about that base of support. So I realize I didn't turn off the camera again. Maybe a bit much switching back and forth, but just to show everybody again. So both feet close together. We can take one step forward, come on one toe, turning the toe out, still very small base of support. And most clients will, in my classes, will stop here, or some feel confident enough to bring their foot to their shin. And one important thing to note is, what's the goal of the pose? You know, what are we looking to achieve? If I want to achieve balance, then and I want to test the balance system, then I need a smaller base of support. If for something like Vrksasana, we're looking for mobility, we're looking to achieve the maximum amount of mobility that we can in the hip, then I'm not as worried about the base of support. And lastly, I just wanted to look at Garudasana, our eagle, and you'll see how we can adjust it in standing in the chair, both feet close together. You can ask them to take one step forward. We can do one toe, 1 foot flat, and we can cross at the ankles, or we can come into full Garudasana, which is more challenging for most of our clients, depending on how long they've been practicing, at least in the population I see. And we can also practice this in sitting or crossed at the knees. Obviously, depends on their mobility. So providing all of these options will encourage your clients to challenge themselves more instead of just showing the hardest option and basically telling them, well, you either can do this or you can't do the pose. We want to provide those options and really always thinking about base of support. And what's challenging about this one is also my arms are inward, so I'm not able to use my arms to balance. So sometimes I tell clients if they want to keep a hand free, they can. We don't want folks relying on the chair, but a nice light touch on the chair just for their peace of mind is always a good idea. So we're going to go through our gentle fitness program, balance program. You'll see here, this is the progression that I use in our static balance. I've showed you it quite a few times. Feet together, one step forward, heel to toe like a tightrope walker, one toe, one foot, or single leg. And you'll see progressively looking at those yellow circles, the base of support gets smaller and smaller and smaller until we're at the most challenging level. We will start with, here, I'll bring up my camera and I'll just take you through the program. So now is definitely a time you're going to want to participate. Get yourself a nice sturdy chair, not a chair that rocks, not a chair that rolls, not a chair that slides. And make sure you have enough space. One step to the right, one step to the left, one step forward, and one step back. We have our chair here in case we need it. Always a light touch on the chair. Use the options that I give you. Pick the option that is challenging for you, but not so challenging that you feel unsafe. We always start with static balance. Both feet close together. Option 2 is one step forward. If you feel a big sway, stop here. If you feel like you can take on more of a challenge, option 3, heel to toe. If you want more of a challenge, option 4, one toe, one foot. Most of my classes, I stop here. There are some clients who are regulars in my programs. They may opt to go on one foot. But in general, most of my classes will stop one toe, one foot. And you'll be able to know based on the group that you're looking at, how much of a sway you're seeing, all of these things. Head up, looking straight ahead. Always shift your weight onto your stance leg. I've had them balancing now about 15 seconds on this leg, and then I'll ask them to lift one arm, keep one hand free for your chair if you need to. Usually we do 10 more seconds and then lifting the other arm, and that's when you'll start to see a big sway happening. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and break. That's how we'll train our static balance, moving once on each side. Then we're adding in a vestibular challenge. So same base of support. Option 1, both feet close together. Option 2, one step forward. Option 3, heel to toe. If you feel safe to do so, option 4, one toe. You have your chair if you need it. Putting your arms out to the sides to help you balance. We're going to turning our head to the right and to the left. Nice and slow. This is challenging my vestibular system. This is challenging my visual system. "20 seconds and break. If you feel dizzy, take a seat. Rejoin us when you're ready. Usually I ask the group if anybody feels dizzy. Some of your clients may have, when you have them do their physical activity readiness questionnaire before joining your classes, they may report to you that they have a vestibular disorder, history of whiplash, history of traumatic brain injury, things like that. So it's good to know who those people are in the room so that you can pay extra attention to them. We do those head turns on both sides. you'll notice that that can be a challenging one. Just sort of an anecdotal thing or a real world scenario. This is really important for most activities of daily living, being able to stand still, turn your head, cooking in the kitchen. It's also important for a dynamic gait. So dynamic gait's another element of another sort of balance strategy we'll look at. It's our ability to maintain our balance as we're walking. And if anybody has any like little kids, if you ever watch like little kids play soccer, you'll notice that if a little kid is running and then they look one way, they'll just sort of instinctively start to follow where their eyes are pointing. So it is adaptive that over time we adapt the ability to be able to turn our head and still maintain one direction. Crossing the street, as I'm crossing the street, I'm looking both ways. This is a really important real world balance skill. We're doing this all the time and we don't realize that for some people, we can take for granted how challenging it is. After that, we can do some forward reach. I already showed you our forward reach. One leg more forward, one leg back. And we're doing that one hand reach. I can ask them to lift the back heel, lift the front heel, and reach, keeping one hand free if I need to, or reaching forward and back. This is really challenging for a lot of us. Myself, I have had a couple ankle injuries on this side, so this one's really challenging for me, but I'm doing it on this side. And that's a strength problem. That's a joint problem, not necessarily a problem with my proprioception or my vision or my vestibular system. If you want to make this one more functional, a fun thing that you can do is a very practical application. I'm getting something out of the shelf and I'm putting it back down. Reaching for my winter hats because it's getting cold outside. Reach, see, and then stepping strategy and coming back down. So forward and back. We will also, in our classes, practice 360-degree turns. So turning challenges the vestibular, vision, system, our proprioception, everything in the balance system. So for 360-degree turns, the bigger the circle, the easier. The slower, the easier. So a harder 360 turn is faster and smaller. So if I turn fast like this in a small base of support, that's harder. Really hard on my eyes, really hard on my vestibular system. So I usually encourage our clients to take little steps as they go. We do one turn all the way around, stop, and then switch directions. So 360, you know where your chair is in case you need it. If you need to, you can do a quarter turn and a quarter turn, and then come back if that's what you feel safe doing. Or if you don't feel safe turning at all, we can do our head turns like we did at the beginning and still work on that same system, that same exercise with a little bit of an adjustment. So if I try my 360, here we go, all the way around, stop, and switch directions all the way around. Most seniors you're going to find in at least from my experience in my classes, are going to do about an 8 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as they turn. Some of them may need cueing like that. Others may not. It really depends on how comfortable they are with the exercise. If I want to make it harder, we can do a double turn. So turning all the way around. Once, twice, stop, and switch directions. Once and twice. Always give folks a minute, check in with them. Anybody feeling dizzy, take a break. And then wait to start again. So we do 360-degree turns. We talked about sensory. We always add in a sensory element. So that sensory element can be eyes closed or looking up, like we practiced earlier. Or we can try something like what's called dual task balance. So sometimes it's harder to balance while we're being asked to perform a different task at the same time. It's true for a lot of things. If you're somebody who, like me, like if I'm trying to parallel park, dead silence in the car. Can't have the radio on. I can't be carrying out a conversation because I'm really focusing on what I'm doing, right? And it can be the same thing if balance is a challenge for you. It might be hard for you to perform another task while you're balancing. So we'll use dual task balance for when we're cooking in the kitchen. We'll use dual task balance if we're playing a sport. Very great example. If I'm playing pickleball, I'm not thinking about balancing. I'm thinking about hitting the ball, but I'm also at the same time, my body is having to balance. So it's going to be a lot harder to balance while playing a sport. So sometimes we'll do tongue twisters. Our population is all immigrants and newcomers. So English language tongue twisters can be pretty hard for them. So we can get into our balanced position. Which option is best for you? And then we'll do a tongue twister. So classic English language tongue twister, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So we'll have to do a tongue twister. Or we'll have to count. Let's count backwards from 100 while we balance. 100, 97, 94, 91, 88, 85, 82, 79. So all of these different things are good examples of a dual task balance exercise. One last one that I'll tend to do is variations on a crane in Tai Chi. So for our crane in Tai Chi is usually on one foot, lifting, bringing out the arms, and gracefully putting the arms back down. Variations on that are just going to be lifting one heel, lifting 1 inch, lifting 4 inches. The higher the leg goes, the harder it will be. And generally, we tell clients, we don't want to see them lose their balance and have to use their stepping strategy. We want them to touch their limit and come back down. It's like our crane in Tai Chi. And if I want to make this harder, pause, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 3, 2, 1. And that's encouraging the clients to practice having one foot on the ground while also encouraging them to use their arms. And that's going to come in handy if I fall. I'm going to protect my head. I'm going to use my stepping strategy to correct my balance. These are some examples of balance exercises we do in a gentle fitness class at Access Alliance. Any questions about
Yeah, a
our...
quick question, Ray. I
Yeah.
just wanted to check with you. People talk about Tai Chi and this is good for balance and also for weight loss. Do you think it has any connection with encouraging people to balance and developing those muscles and also the weight loss?
Absolutely. So we've incorporated Tai Chi into one of our courses here. It is how we begin our meditation class always. So we teach meditation once a week. We do about 20 minutes of Tai Chi. Actually, we do Qigong, which is a cousin of Tai Chi. We also do some stretches, and this usually creates a really nice somatic experience where the client feels very relaxed, they feel very connected with their body. And then we finish with our guided mindfulness meditation. And we find that, especially with Qigong, we're pairing all of our movements with our breath. So if I'm doing a Qigong squat, the movements are very slow. You'll find that some older adults it's a challenge to move this slow. They almost want to rush through the movements, but we're encouraging them this slow, sustained muscle activation is really good for coordination. And we do in Tai Chi things like the crane, pushing the waves is a step. So I'm on one foot and we step out and push the waves. And these movements are really good for that sort of reactive balance, dynamic balance, because we're asking them to move so slowly. So generally our clients say that yes, the Tai Chi makes them feel stronger, more relaxed, and that it helps their balance. So I really like to incorporate elements of it. Um, uh, Also, like even like a palm press, I'm having to reach back, maintain my balance while I'm reaching back and move very slowly. I hope that answers your question. I love the Tai Chi for the seniors, honestly, and they really enjoy it too.
Thank you for the explanation. I just wanted to see, okay, I think it's good for our yoga facilitators if they can include some of the steps from Tai Chi.
Yes, absolutely. So I really, like I said, I love pairing it with meditation because for some of our clients who are attending our meditation class, um, you know, they need to be sort of slowly introduced into the experience, right? Because we're so in our heads or we're so thinking about being distracted. And they're able to sort of connect with their breath. And Tai Chi is so good for just something like blood pressure, right? So it just lowers your blood pressure and relaxes you. And that's why I really like the Qigong because the Qigong is based in traditional Chinese medicine. This is just for your interest. It's going to be in the references of this slide. There is something called the Otego Exercise Program, and it includes a lot of these elements. And this is sort of an evidence-based program for training older adults who have balance issues, and it includes a lot of the balance exercises we did today, as well as lower extremity strength. Let's not forget about the strength, right? Anything we do to give our seniors strong legs is going to help with their balance and their independence. And what we all really care about is aging in place, right? Independence and aging in place. So I'm going to give everybody a little break. We can take, I don't know how we're doing on time. It's 3 o'clock now, so perfect timing for a break. If we want to take, I think we're ending at 3:30, right, Sadia? Maybe we can take 5 minutes, 5 minutes and come back at 3:05. Just bio break, whatever you need to do, stretch, move around, get some water, and then we'll finish with our fall prevention element of the class.
Yes, it is ending 3:30.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I just want to make sure there's time for questions.
I sent a text message for Kladevi. Kladevi, can you please send me the information so that we can include you as part of the invoicing? I have sent invoices, a draft invoice, okay, to almost everybody. If you have not received and you are a yoga facilitator or you have facilitated a session, please let me know. Are when do you want us to come back?
So we can come back at 3:05. That 3:05. I'll give you 5 minutes.
We can't open the attachment, can't load the attachment, it says. You hear me? No.
Yes,
Is
I
this
do.
for-
Let me send it. Let me send it again to you and see if this works. Okay.
Maybe another attach, I don't, it says open in 365 cup lot or something.
Okay, let me do that. Okay, sometimes things get complicated. Let me send it to you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Please check. I just sent it to you, the other version.
Thank you.
We'll give folks another minute because it is afternoon on a Friday and I'm talking a lot. So,
I hope they're back.
okay, this part of our presentation will be quick. Folks ready to start, or do they need a little bit more time?
I think it's good to start, okay?
Good to start?
Alex,
Okay.
Alex, are you there? Alex, I just want to
Yes, I'm
make
here.
sure. Okay,
Okay,
good.
cool.
So, okay, good to go.
Okay. So when we talk about balance, I've already been talking about falls prevention, right? Both of them go together. Um, I'm going to try and focus this falls prevention more on, we're going to get some general information, but we're also going to talk about specific considerations for us when we're in a teaching environment, in a class environment. Has anybody who's on the call, has anybody ever had somebody fall, either in their class, or have you witnessed somebody fall in your life, especially an older adult?
No, no, not really.
Okay, good. That's good. Um, so falls are a major public health problem. So 1 in 5 seniors in Canada over the age of 65 will experience 1 or more falls a year. So that's 20 to 30%. It's just like very prevalent. Falls among older adults. 85% of injury-related hospitalizations of people over 65 are related to a fall. So this is a big concern for our clientele. Also important to note that half of falls happen in the home. So half of those falls specifically that result in hospitalization are happening in the home. There's other stats I can throw at you. 95% of hip fractures are due to, in older adults, are due to a fall, right? So if we can prevent falls, we can keep our clients healthy. We can keep our clients independent for longer, aging in place, and just generally keep them safe. Many factors will contribute to a fall, okay? Mainly if somebody has a chronic or acute health condition. So I've been talking about, different neurological conditions. We can think about different muscular conditions, muscular sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, a chronic vestibular condition. All of these can contribute to being risk factors for falling. Balance or gait issues, muscle weakness, sensory factors. So having vision issues, there's even a link between hearing loss and falls. Any sort of cognitive impairment. So if somebody has mild cognitive impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's, their decision making could be affected and they might make decisions that will put them at risk of falling. That decision could be as simple as they're not wearing the right footwear for the weather outside, or it could be they're rushing in an environment where they shouldn't be rushing, or their space, that their living space has a lot of risk factors in it. Medication is another big one. A lot of our older adults are on lots of different types of medications, and those medications can have side effects like fatigue or dizziness, and that can contribute to a fall. Inadequate nutrition, not getting enough food, not getting enough of the nutrients you need, not being hydrated. All of these things can contribute to a fall. And there's also a link between social isolation and the environment and falls. So when we want to prevent falls, when we assess somebody for risk for falls, we're looking at big red flag is they've already had 2 or more falls in the past 12 months, or an acute fall that means they've fallen recently. We want to prevent falls by making sure people are using their walker. I think it was Sadia, you brought up walkers earlier. Are they using the assistive device that they need to be using? Are they using their cane when they go out of the house? Are they using their walker? Are they managing whatever disease, whatever chronic conditions they have? Are they managing it properly? Are they taking their medication properly? And we also think about modifying the environment, okay, making sure their home is safe, making sure that they have railings where they need railings, making sure that they don't have carpets without mats under them, making sure that they have a non-slip tile in their shower. All of these things, modifying their environment, making sure that they have night lights, making sure that they don't have lots of clutter in their hallways, making sure their bed is at a good height. An ergonomic environment really helps to prevent falls. Making sure folks are in an exercise programming that helps to strengthen balance, keeps people strong and active, will help prevent falls, and making sure that they are getting good nutrition and referring them for any visual issues that they're experiencing. So when we assess fall risk, we look at all these things: their balance and strength, their footwear choices, medication use, visions, hazards in the home, their activity choices, any health problems they'll have, nutrition, the risk of previous falls. So one really easy one is, I'm sure most of you in your classes, I teach lots of fitness. I know most folks in here are teaching some form of yoga, but we want people wearing the proper footwear when they're coming into classes. So I would never let somebody come into my class wearing those blue slippers to do a class. And we definitely encourage them that when they're walking around the house, things like that, they want a slipper with a grip at the bottom and a back. That's going to be huge for fall prevention. So little modifications like that can make a big difference when doing classes. So to reduce the fall in classes, so we want to think about the environment. Okay, the environment is the first place we start. Is there proper lighting? If the lights are too dark, a senior with vision loss isn't going to be able to see as well as somebody without, right? So we want to make sure that people can see. They can see the obstacles on the floor. They can see the space. Making sure that the space is clean. We don't want any spills. We don't want any fall hazards, trash on the floor, paper towels, things like that. Those can all lead to fall hazards. Clutter. Clients should not be leaving their belongings all around their mat. We want the space near the mats, if you're using mats, the space around the chairs to be clear. Often a common one is my clients come in and they want to hang their bag, hang their coat on the back of their chair. No, we have an area for them to do that so that the area is clear. Thinking about steps and rugs, the type of furniture we're using. I'll say it again. You have a nice sturdy chair, not a chair that rocks, not a chair that rolls, not a chair that slides. I don't want you using for chair yoga a chair that's really high that you feel like you're falling out of, and I don't want you using a chair that's really low. We don't want to practice chair yoga on the sofa. It doesn't encourage the proper position for our different forms, our different asanas, but it also is going to be harder for you to get up and down and in and out of the chair, and it's going to be a risk. And we want to make sure that people have enough space. They have enough space to practice in. So if I have a room with a capacity of 30 people, and that's 30 people sitting very close to each other in chairs, I can't put 30 people in that class. That's a risk. I need my clients to have enough room to move around their chair, to get in and out of the room safely. We can't be packing people into the classes to the point where they can't move, because eventually, even if you've made it this long, somebody will eventually fall, because these are seniors. A lot of them have that diminished balance, and you can't predict that. So we want to make sure that we have enough space for everybody to practice safely. And then a lot of that other prevention is cultural, right? So we want to create a culture in the classroom that is all about safety and falls prevention. And that's all about making an environment so that everybody can actually enjoy themselves and actually have fun and not feel on edge like they're worried about falling. So educating our clients about falls, respecting the medical advice that's been given to them. If somebody's doctor told them you can't do this, you can't, you're at risk for example, orthostatic hypotension. I'm sure folks are familiar with that, but that's a condition in which if we're doing mat yoga and somebody tells me, oh, I have orthostatic hypotension, that person should not be practicing getting up, down on the ground and getting back up again really quickly because they're going to lose consciousness and they're going to fall, right? So we have to respect the advice of the professionals who assess our clients. Attendance and capacity, we talked about entering and exiting. So ensuring that clients enter and exit the room in a safe manner. Everybody's a little bit different about their policy about late arrivals. If you allow people to come in late, make sure that they're not stepping over other people, they're not pushing other people out of the way, that there's space for them in the back of the class, that when they're seniors, they might need to take a break, they might need to use the washroom, do anything like that, making sure that as they leave the class and re-enter the class for their bio break, they're being respectful of the people around them and they're not coming in. I have a senior doing tree pose and then another senior coming back from the washroom says, get out of my way. No, like we have to set the culture of respect in the classroom so people are aware of the safety issues around them. And respect for personal limits is one of the tough ones. So encouraging clients to stop once they've reached their limit. That comes up a lot. If we're doing our tree. So I have a client who I see them. This is what they're doing. Okay. And I know it's because they're watching me and I'm in my tree. Then I need to model a behavior that they're going to respond to. It's okay to put your toe on the ground. It's okay. Give them permission. We're all starting where we're starting. We'll all get there, but we have to start where we are. We can't skip any steps, right? So creating that culture in the classroom where people see their progress without also pushing themselves past their limit. And nutrition, making sure that our clients understand you need to be eating at least an hour before class, right? Not 10 minutes before class, but have a snack 30 to 45 minutes before class. They're not coming in a morning class without having eaten. If we can prevent that, I know some of our folks are food insecure, but trying to encourage people to eat and give themselves the proper hydration and nutrition. So we talked about that. So again, special considerations. I talked about respecting medical advice. So hopefully it is the best practice that everybody attending any sort of exercise class, any sort of fitness program fills out a physical activity readiness questionnaire and they report any conditions they may have to you. So things to look out for when they do that. Are they talking, do you see things like vestibular disorder, concussion, TBI, traumatic brain injury, BPPV is a vestibular disorder, a history of stroke, diabetes, amputation of any digits in the lower extremity. Usually we tell our clients always get your feet checked. Oh, you have diabetes. Oh, don't forget, get your feet checked. They should be doing that annually. Having a recent surgery. Oh, I just had surgery. I just had surgery on my hip. Okay, well, when was that? Oh, it was 6 months ago. Okay, as long as the doctor told you, it's fine. But I had a client, she went and got a knee surgery. She was not fully healed and she was trying to come back to class. And I said, are you seeing the physiotherapist? And she said, yeah, I'm seeing the physiotherapist. I said, what did the physiotherapist tell you? She said, oh, just do his exercise. And I said, so you can't come to my class until the physiotherapist tells you that you're ready to come back. Recent eye surgeries, a lot of our clients are getting cataract surgery, things like that. Because eyes are part of balance, that's going to affect their ability to balance. If they walk with an assistive device, make sure they're not putting their assistive device on one side of the room and then walking the other side of the room. Make sure it's always close to them. If they have postural hypotension, what I was just talking about, getting up and down, if they get up too quickly, they'll lose consciousness because the blood won't get to their head fast enough. Any other neurological condition that affects balance, Parkinson's, MS, spinal conditions like spondylosis, That's just like a narrowing of the spinal column, which people might have weakness. And then osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a higher risk of injury with falls, right? So just being aware of that is really important. Okay, so really quickly, before we move on to questions, I want to go over what to do when you fall and you can't get up. This is really great education. The best thing about mat yoga for our seniors is we can practice this with them every class and train it in like muscle memory for them, how to get up from the ground safely when they fall. So I'm going to turn off I'm going to stop sharing. So I'm just going to do my little acting job right now for you all. So say I fall. I think I'm on the floor. Everybody can see me. So obviously, first we encourage our clients, call for help. Help, help, I fell. If you're home alone. If you're not home alone, hopefully somebody will come and help you. If you're alone, generally we tell our clients, get yourself to a chair if possible. So actually, first, call for help. Second, stay calm. Check yourself. Make sure you haven't really injured yourself. Okay, move your legs, move your arms. Okay, I feel okay. No rush, stay calm. And then what do I need to do if I want to get myself back up? I need to get myself to a chair. So I'm lucky I fell down and I'm right really close to my chair. If you're able to get yourself to the chair, get yourself to the chair. If not, that's okay. Stay where you are. Keep calling for help and wait for help to come. But if you're able to get yourself to a chair, or if you witness somebody fall, you bring them a chair. If a client falls in your class, the last thing you want to do is try and physically pick them up yourself. That is not what's recommended. We want to get somebody to a chair. So thankfully I fell, I'm near my chair. If I can roll myself over, then I'm in front of my chair. Okay? So slowly, using my hands here. Come to the side so you can see me. Using my hands, I'm going to slowly push myself up and try and get my hands onto the chair. So my hands are onto the chair, and I'm going to use the chair, trying to get my body as close as I can to the chair, using the chair to get my legs under me. Once my legs are under me, I can come sideways to the chair, trying to pull myself up into the chair. Trying to either get my foot out. If you can't get your foot out, you don't have this hip range of motion. See if you can get yourself up into the chair and pull yourself up into the chair. That's what you're going to do if somebody else falls in your class. Never, never, never try to pick somebody up. Even if it's somebody who looks quite small, they're very heavy. They're very unwieldy. They're going to dead weight and you're going to hurt yourself. So really the best thing to do is to get somebody in front of the chair. Don't rush, sit with them, give them a moment to calm down and try and help them get not right up into standing, but help them get into sitting in the chair. Because once they're in the chair, they're safe. On the ground, they're safe too, as long as they're not injured. But once they're in their chair, you can assess them and they're safe, but you're never going to lift somebody up. So always, always, always in mat class, after say we're, in Shavasana, I've been on the ground for a while. Usually I do sometimes 10 whole minutes of breathing and somatic exercises at the end of class in Shavasana. I always model for the clients. My mat is here, my chair is perpendicular, always modeling and always educating them. Okay, we're turning over, getting up nice and slow, waiting until our head is clear. We're alert, we're not feeling sleepy, we're not feeling dizzy. And then slowly getting up into the chair, waiting until our head is clear, waiting until we're alert, giving our circulatory system time to get oxygen to our head now that we're moving up these levels. And then slowly we get out of the chair. This is really good practice. We want this to become automatic muscle memory for clients so that in the event that they do fall, they're confused, they're panicking, they'll remember, okay, this is how I get myself up off the floor. So this is just a good thing to do if you are doing a mat class to incorporate into your programming. And then that's it. So this is one of the resources at the end if you want. It is how to get up into a chair after you fall. And then always protect yourself up. So you'll see lots of pictures like this, like what these guys are doing, like, oh, I'm gonna yank him, I'm gonna pull him. You're not gonna be able to do you're gonna hurt yourself. And it's good for our clients who know, who maybe live with a partner, right? What if their partner falls? You know, we want them to protect themselves too. We don't want both of them to fall. So you'll see here, you stand behind the person and you help them get into the chair and then sit down. So after a fall, when do you need to see a doctor? So say somebody falls in your class, God willing, it won't happen. Knock on wood, whoever you pray to, pray that it doesn't happen. But if someone falls, we need to take note of their condition. Again, don't rush, don't panic. Encourage the person to move slowly. Sometimes our instinct after we fall and we're confused is to try and get ourselves back up really fast. You know, encourage them, stay down, it's okay. Just take a moment, breathe, no rush, get them a chair. They should see a fall if they lost consciousness just before or just after the fall. They should see a doctor if there's any visible injuries or if they have any injuries. If maybe they fell, they hurt themselves, the pain is strong, the pain is lingering, the pain isn't going away, they need to see the doctor, they might have injured something. If they're really dizzy, if they're nauseous, if they hit their head, if there's overall weakness or unsteadiness after they fall, they just seem really weak, they can't stand up again, they're unsteady. If they're experiencing headaches, vision problems, blurred vision, or they seem really drowsy, they don't seem able to keep focus or keep awake, those are all signs that they need to see a doctor after the fall. So there is some stuff in this presentation slides. I will be sharing the slides with Sadia after. If you want to learn more about fall prevention, you can take the Canadian Fall Prevention Curriculum course. For clients, you can refer them to the fall prevention programs in Ontario. If you notice a client who's falling a lot, they need to talk to their doctor about it. They're just going to keep falling, so they need to be put into a proper program to prevent falls. And you can go to preventfalls.ca, canadianfallprevention.ca, and there's so many resources there about home modifications, things like that, that will tell you all about falls. So that is everything I have to talk about for today.